you need to turn your cameras off. The best thing to do now is to start with a very brief introduction. So, hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our new parents' evening. My name is Dominic Bedford. I'm the head teacher. Some of you, this will be your first time hearing this kind of thing. For others of you, you might have older children in the school and you've heard it many times before. Either way, welcome. It's a delight to see you all. We're just obviously sorry that it can't be in person because of the COVID restrictions. This is the next best thing we can do, and it's a great chance for us to chat and listen to the early years teachers. So before we get going, an introduction. I've already introduced myself. My name is Dominic Bedford. I'm the head teacher. We have with us Mrs. Palmer. If Mrs. Palmer would like to just give a wave and maybe say something, so you'll come live on the screen if you say something, Nicola. We also have with us tonight, there we go, hello Nicola. We also have Stefka Solikova, who is our nursery teacher. Hello Stefka. No, we can't hear you.
Hello. Yeah, sorry. Hello.
Hello. Moving on, I can also see that Mrs. Flint, Janet Flint, our office manager, is with us. Thank you, Janet. Say hello. And we are also expecting at some point, I can't see her on screen at the moment unless she jumps in. We also have our Chair of Governors with us this evening, Mrs. Martha Moroney. And we are rather hoping that he's got a function with his own children this evening at their senior school. But Mr. Robin King, our SENCO, which stands for Special Education Needs Coordinator, he will also be joining us at some point this evening. That's the introductions. I think the very best thing we can do now is just pass over to early years leads, because they're the people you really want to hear from. So over to Nicola Palmer, our reception teacher and EYFS lead.
Hello, thank you. I'll just share my screen. Welcome to our Parents Information Evening, both to parents and I can see some children, so it's really lovely to see some of those children. So I just share my screen, my PowerPoint. A moment. See if I can. Apologies here.
If you're having trouble, Nicola, okay, I can share.
Okay, can you see it now? Is it working? Is it working?
I can't see it, but no, there's a few shakings of the heads. Do you want me to have a go?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr.
I'll give it a go, and then if it all goes wrong, you can blame me.
Thank you.
Somebody is going to tell me that I am now sharing a PowerPoint. No, there's lots of shaking of the head. It's coming.
I can see it now.
So hopefully you can see Mrs. Palmer's PowerPoint now.
Can everyone see that? Thumbs up for those children.
Yeah,
great.
We've got lots of nodding
Thank
heads.
you. Thank you very much. So thank you for your patience there. So welcome to St Adrian's. Our main focus for our presentation this evening is really to reassure parents and children that our main focus for your children when they're going to be joining our nursery class or reception class, that we will be making sure that your children are safe and happy and settled into school. So I'm just going to talk through some of the strategies that we'll be using and just some of the key information that you're probably curious about. So thank you, Mr. Bedford. So I've just mentioned that already, so to help prepare you. So just an introduction, you've already seen some of us, some of the team on the screen, Mr. Bedford and Mrs. Solikova and myself. So Mr. Bedford, head teacher, Mrs. Solokova is our nursery teacher, and I teach in reception and lead the early years foundation stage overall. Thank you, Mr. Bedford. Other staff that you and your child will meet when they join St Adrian's, or if you've not already met them already, because I am aware that those children who some of those children who enter in reception class will have met some of this staff already. But we have Mrs. O'Connor, who is one of our early years team and supports the teachers, as well as Mrs. Reed, who also supports teachers in either nursery or reception class. And as Mr. Bedford mentioned, Mr. King is our SEND coordinator, and he will be joining us hopefully a little bit later on, just to briefly discuss his role and to talk about any specific needs your child may have and how we at St Adrian's would help you and your child. Thank you, Mr. Bedford. So transition. So this is all about transition, even for those children who are transferring from nursery and are quite familiar with St Adrian's. Transferring into reception class can seem quite daunting, and also I think for even parents sometimes thinking, oh, how different is reception going to be? And of course, for those new parents who are joining us this evening, the nursery parents and the new reception parents, there's a lot for your child to take on board, getting to know the school, getting to know the staff, and settling into class. So we very much start where your child is. Both nursery and reception will be very much play-based. Reception will be very similar to nursery. I always start from a nursery perspective so that your children encounter familiar activities that they're used to, such as Play-Doh, sand, water play. And if your children, nursery children or reception children currently at preschool, all the sorts of things they would have seen at preschool. Some children take a little bit longer than other children, but we are all very experienced in helping parents and the children to settle into school, and we will take that time to work with you to make sure that your child is happy. And making sure the children are happy and settled into school is so important, and that's when we know that they'll be ready to learn. So we will work with you and make sure that everyone's happy first. Thank you, Mr. Bedford. So just to briefly explain, the children, both nursery and reception, will be following the early years foundation stage, which is a curriculum, statutory curriculum that has been drawn up by the government, and we do follow that. And we're in the autumn term, both Mrs. Solokova and I will talk to you in more depth about how the curriculum works and how we deliver the curriculum. But just for the moment, I'll briefly explain that it's very much play-based, threaded through with adult-directed group time. So, for example, things that we're teaching in the adult-directed group time, which are always very short at the beginning of your child's experience in the new class. We will then provide opportunities in our learning environment for your children to consolidate those skills in their play activities. Initially, that's very much just getting to know their friends, learning to make relationships, becoming confident to speak up and talk to the teachers and ask for help and learn how to use the various resources that we have on offer. And also the high priority is lots of conversations, lots of chatting and building your child's vocabulary. So that's one of the things that we would be focusing on during that learning through play, when teachers are working with your children and teaching your children throughout the day, but sometimes in adult directed and other times in learning through play. Thank you. We also, as a Catholic school, religious education is very important to us, and it is actually something that I thoroughly enjoy teaching the children at school, because we follow a school-based curriculum that provides early years activities, and they're always really fun. We do fantastic things, like, for example, during Pentecost recently, we had a party where the children all dressed up in red. They made themselves fire hats and streamers, and they get opportunities to explore stories from the Bible through small world figures, or we've got a small world church, and lots of dressing up opportunities, lots of puppets, and we have lots of fun teaching RE, but it also has a very, very important contribution towards your child's education, which is part of their personal and social and emotional development, because we teach lots of values such as being a good friend, making the right choices, and leading our lives as Jesus and God asks us to. So it's a really good aspect of their learning. And each new topic is taught in 4 weekly four weekly schemes, and we always provide on our website details of what your child will be learning through RE. So thank you, Mr. Bedford. Oh, sorry, just one moment, actually, before you change the slide. I did mean to say as well that COVID dependent, I was going to try not to say that this evening, but COVID dependent, the children do also visit the church and have other visitors come into school. For example, the priest sometimes comes into school, or other parish members of the parish family, and those are other activities we do offer. Sorry, Miss Bedford, thank you.
That's all right.
The next thing that the next aspect I'd like to just run through with you is what a typical day would look like. So I'm going to pass over to Mrs. Solikova, our nursery teacher, to talk about nursery class and how the normal morning works.
Thank you, Mrs. Palmer. Well, in nursery, we do encourage the first thing in the morning is the children to learn to be independent of getting to know where their pack is, how to hang the coat, where to put their drink bottle, book bags. So that's the very first thing they learn to do. And then they will have a selection of Funky Fingers activities, which means fine motor activities, and we tend to change them on a weekly basis. So it's lots of fun, lots of new opportunities every week. Then when we finish with our Funky Fingers, we do have our circle time routines, which includes our morning prayer, lots of exercises, lots of challenges we set up for the children, doing calendar and those sort of things. And that's followed by our adult-led sessions, which is usually a Let's Sing Sounds in the morning. And after Let's Sing Sounds, we'll have our Learning for Play, with plenty of opportunities for the children to explore around the classroom, role play and Play-Doh and sand, water, small worlds, like different lots of fun things to be doing. And they'll have snack as well during this time, which is a rolling snack. We're trying to introduce healthy eating, and so independent of spreading their butter and stuff like that. So it's lots of fun. And then we tidy up. It's a very important part of the day, and takes a while, but they'll get there eventually. And that's followed by another 10-15 minutes adult-led session, which is either music or RE or PE. It depends on the timetable. And then we have a story time for another 5-10 minutes, our home time prayer, and then we're lining up and getting ready to go home. Yeah, so that's
Thank you, Mrs. Solikova. Thank you. And the next slide is receptions routine, which has some similarities. Again, the arrival, when the children arrive in class, they all have busy finger activities to help develop the muscles in their fingers ready for writing. And initially that will be very free play, but as I start to introduce more structured play, then they will have particular groups to go to with specific activities. And once the children are all in class, We then, again, as Mrs. Solikova mentioned, we have a circle time, and we do our daily prayer, and then we do our letters and sounds first thing in the morning after our circle time. Initially for reception children, that will be very much songs and thinking about rhyming and sound discrimination, and then I will gradually, once the children are ready, I will start to introduce sounds and letters to the children quite rapidly, and I will send home letters and sounds books to you, so you will know which sounds they are learning each week, so that you'll be able to support them at home as well. We again have snack during our learning through play. Again, the children learn to be independent and wash their hands, and we normally have a question of the day at snack time, and sit together and have those lovely conversations. Just before we get ready for lunchtime, we then again have a little group time. So that could be a maths activity, or it could be an RE activity, or even a talking activity before we do some singing and rhyme time whilst we're preparing for lunch. After lunch, there's a registration and story time. We try to have at least 2 stories each day in reception. So there's a story time, and as the children begin to read, I also do guided reading after lunch. And then there are activities again led by an adult, which again could be maths or RE, and again learning through play before they get ready to go home and have a story time at home time. So thank you.
Oh, me. There you go. All too money. Hang on. There we go.
Thank you. I'll pass you over again to Mrs. Solikova just to briefly talk about the uniform.
Thank you, Mrs. Palmer. So boys and girls, they expect to wear the blue sweaters with the school logo and white polo shirts, again with the school logo. Boys in winter, jogging trousers, not just boys, girls as well, I guess. Summertime would be shorts instead, and for the girls, summer months, the mid-blue checked summer dresses can be worn if you prefer to do so. And these all can be ordered from Stevenson's, but I guess Mrs. Palmer will, make a point of that anyway. So, thank you, Mrs. Palmer.
Thank you. Yes, I will come on to talking about this a little bit later, but on our school website, the detailed information, exactly what uniforms required for each class, is detailed on the website. So hopefully we may get a chance to show you that, but all the information is on the website. Some of the uniform is available through, is only available through Stevenson's, which is the school jumper, and the PE top is only available through Stevenson's, and I can't remember actually. I might need to check. I think the tie maybe is Mrs. Flint there. I think the tie might be Stevenson's, but anyway, the school office also provides.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Thank you. The school office provide the sun hat, book bag, and PE bag. So those can be ordered through the school gateway system. But again, that information is on our website, which I'm hoping I'll be able to show you. So the reception uniform is similar to nursery in terms of the jumper's the same, a cardigan for girls, and we do wear a tie. There is the elasticated version, or the normal conventional type of tie is available as well. I do actually encourage the children to have the proper tie that they can eventually learn to tie themselves. It's really delightful to see towards the end of the summer term those children that come into school telling me that they've learned how to tie their tie and that they're prepared for year one. The elasticated ones sometimes get a little bit tatty sometimes, and the children do also quite like pulling them and pinging them on the carpet. So they are quite a lot smarter, the proper tie, but obviously whatever suits you and your child and that you feel your child is happier with is fine by me. So and again, it's grey trousers rather than jogging bottoms in nursery, and the girls wear either a pinafore or a skirt, and there's a summer dress available for the girls during the summer, and the boys wear shorts. So thank you. Right. So how can you support your child at home? So the main thing that you can do, sorry, I'm so sorry. That was my phone ringing. If you could hear it in the background, it hardly ever rings normally. I'm so sorry. So we're some one person. So how can you support your child at school? First thing to do is to do lots and lots of talking. Seize every opportunity to have a conversation with your child. Even if it's through, it can be through stories, it can be through just spending time together, cooking and talking about your cooking activities. It could be just through going for a walk. Anytime you can take that opportunity to have a conversation with your child would really support them in all aspects of the curriculum. Enjoy lots of physical activities together, going for walks, going to the park. It's amazing how, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, parents and children. So yes, so going for a walk and lots of physical activities will really support your child academically, because getting those strong muscles ready for writing are really essential. Not only the finger skills, but shoulders and the core strength. So swinging on the climbing frame in the park, or running and jumping and skipping, all those activities really do support your child's academic achievement for later on in life. And again, take all those opportunities to encourage your child to use their fingers. It might be through encouraging them to open yogurt pots or bottles themselves, or to put their coat on themselves, or it could be gardening. Digging in the garden really helps develop your child's physical skills, and cooking, the stirring action is great for children's risks. So all activities that you're doing with your child at home will really support them in those writing skills and confidence. Have fun with maths. Board games, I would say, is probably one of the most useful thing you can do with your child. Games with a dice and games that explore numbers. Orchard Toys have some wonderful board games, some simple games for very young children. So that would be really useful. And also take any opportunities you can. It may be at meal times. I can see you have 4 carrots on your plate. If you eat one, how many carrots will you have left? Or even counting the stairs as you walk up the stairs. Every opportunity you can to count with your child and explore maths in an everyday situation will really help to consolidate their understanding of what numbers mean and what a quantity mean. Enjoy books together, share, join the library if you can, and have a sharing session with your child every day at bedtime or during the day. That really builds their vocabulary. Pointing out the print in the book and talking about the illustrations will help to support their readiness for reading. And encourage your child to do as much as they can by themselves, such as putting their own coat on, taking the shoes on and off. That really helps to boost children's confidence in class. And ultimately, parents will give you a little bit of a break in when your child can dress and undress themselves and be more independent, frees you up a little bit more. So it's worthwhile in the end. And encourage your child, if you can, again, COVID dependent, if you do have any opportunities, if we get the go ahead later on in the summer, then if you can find some opportunities for your child to play with other children and to develop those social skills such as turn taking and listening to others, that would really support your child. Again, on the school website, there are several leaflets on there which provide you some more detailed information about activities and things that you can do at school. At home. Thank you, Mr. Bedford. Mm. Now, I'm not sure if Mr. King has been able to join us yet. We're almost at the end.
I am. Yeah.
Hello, Mr. King. Hi, welcome to our meeting. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Well, I've never been invited to one of these before, so it's a special treat for me. Thank you. I'll just say a few things about what my role at the school is. You know, you may never have anything to do with me, but then again, you may have need of me. So it's important to know that I'm there if you ever do need me. I am the school SENCO. That stands for Special Educational Needs and Disability Coordinator. So as the title suggests, it's a kind of coordinator's role. I oversee our special educational needs provision across the school, and I work closely with teachers like Mrs. Palmer and Mrs. Solikova. If there are any particular children who they feel might have some learning difficulties. So we offer quite a lot of support for children who might have particular learning needs. We work very hard to look out for and identify those needs as early as possible. So right down to kind of nursery and reception, where, because these kind of needs can very often just be, they can very often be developmental. Sometimes it can be a bit more, but very often it's something that if you just put a bit of help in place early enough, then it sorts itself out. And it doesn't become a sort of big issue in the long run. So it's quite important for us to do that. And we do a lot of things with the children to try and do that, particularly kind of what we call screening activities, which sounds quite sort of serious, but really it's just kind of well-designed games and little activities that Mrs. Palmer can do with the children. And it just helps her identify where there might be a little language need or a reading need or an understanding or communication need. They're probably the most kind of common ones that we see in reception and nursery. And then we can just put a bit of help in place for that. And very often that's all that's needed. And then that child's kind of back on their path and trajectory of making progress. Sometimes a child's need will be more than that, and it will, you know, require more support and more long-term support. That's really will affect very few children. But it's important to know that if you do have concerns about your child's development, I am here to talk to. Your first port of call really is your class teacher, Mrs. Palmer or Mrs. Solikova, because that's you know, that's the person who deals with your child day to day. But you know, they will pass on any concerns to me, or I am of course available to any parents to talk to about any concerns that you do have about your child's learning or their general development. And I'll be very, very happy to talk to you about that and, you know, have any conversations that you want to have. So I think that's probably all I need to say. You know, we as I say, we do put a lot of kind of formal things in place if we feel that there's a clear special educational need. And, you know, your child would be very well supported at St. Adrian's if that was the case for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. Thank you. So just before we start getting to the question opportunity, I just wanted to briefly explain how we will communicate with you and the opportunities you will have to speak to either Mrs. Solikova or myself. So you will see both of us when your child enter school and leave school. We do try to avoid having long conversations at the school gate. Just mainly, sometimes they could be something that we'd like to spend a little bit more time talking to you about, or it could be something confidential. But you can always pass a brief message on to us. For example, if your child's didn't sleep too well that night and they're a little bit tired, little messages like that you'll be able to pass on to us at the door or the gate. We also hold parent consultation meetings. That's well, Mr. Bedford, we've had two this year. So I'm not sure the plans for next year, but there will definitely be opportunities for you to meet with Mrs. Solikova and myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's normal to have two. I mean, we don't have two in nursery. We only have one in nursery because the early one in autumn's just a little bit too soon. But we, you know, communication with parents is paramount to building partnerships, and the best way children learn is through partnerships. We can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. This is a partnership between the school and the parents, and therefore communication is paramount.
And also, if you have any particular concerns, or if we feel like that we would like to talk to you about any aspect of your child's learning, then we would also have other meetings as and when appropriate, if required. The school office will send you text notifications and reminders about various activities or requests that the school may have asked parents through the newsletter, or any special activity days. There's a school newsletter, and there is also the school email address that you can always email the school office if you have any concerns or any questions you'd like to pass on to Mrs. Solikova or myself. And the school website provides lots of information. I'm not sure. I'll see if I can share that. Would that be all right, Mr. Bedford, to just briefly show?
Of course it would. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Of course it would.
I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
No, Maybe
we can do it after the PowerPoint.
Yeah,
it won't do two at the same time.
So there is the school website, and there's a special page especially for new parents, and there's lots of information on that special section, which also includes a welcome to nursery and a welcome to reception. So some of the information Mrs. Solikova and myself have given you tonight will be in a little bit more detail. There's a document about how the children learn and develop at school, and there's some nice photos to illustrate the children learning in our classes. There's, as I mentioned before, tips for you on how to prepare your child for school, and all the other information that you may need, for example, about school lunches. We're also active on social media, on Facebook and Twitter. And lastly, the school use an online learning journal, which is like a story of your child's learning at school and also at home. So it's a collaborative journal that we create online. I know many of you, especially if you're already in nursery class at the moment, transferring to reception, will already be on our learning journal, but it's called Tapestry. And we work together in compiling this learning journal. At school, we will make observations of your child and send you details about their learning with pictures. And at home, you can send to me or Mrs. Solikova how your child's learning at home, or something that they would like to celebrate, and we share those with the other children in class, and they're always super proud to share their home learning with their friends at school. Again, the details of how to log on to Tapestry is on the school website, but for those new parents, we will be sending you separate information and a separate activation email a little bit more nearer towards the end of the term. So you will receive details, if you haven't as yet, on how to log on to Tapestry and how Tapestry works. So thank you, Mr. Bedford. So now's opportunity over to you to ask any questions that you may like to ask. If it's something specific for your child, then there is a page on Tapestry where you can fill out an All About Me section, where you can let Mrs. Solikova and myself know about anything specific you'd like to make sure that we're aware of about your child. But any general questions at the moment, pass it to you. So
okay, we have a hand up, Tracy Guest. So I guess you're just a guest. Tracy, would you like to go?
I was just wondering, was there a specific gate they come in the morning?
Do you want me to answer that? Yes.
Yes, sorry.
Ferncroft and turn left and go down to the there's like a fence alongside the EYFS playground, and you'll be able to that. So the gate that nursery and reception use at the moment in COVID restriction is Ferncroft, but if we return to normal non-COVID restrictions, that will also be the gate. It's only COVID that's created other gate use. So early years can come in through the Ferncroft gate.
Is that the back? That's the back gate.
That's the back gate.
Yeah.
That's the.
Okay.
Is that Mrs. Burke?
Yeah.
Okay, I just had Tracy on the line. Mrs. Burke, it's the normal gate that all the children would have come through onto the Key Stage 2 playground.
Okay.
I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah.
And we have.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
That's okay.
I remember coming through both gates, but I was just wondering if it was just one. So yeah.
If we return to normal, any gate that's open, you can come through.
Oh, okay. Cool.
You know, I mean, returning to normal means that if you want to come onto the Key Stage 1 playground and walk along the internal alleyway, you can do that. It's just at the moment, because we've got one-way systems, we're definitely bringing children in through the Ferncroft gate. Hopefully, please God, by September, that's all relaxed.
Okay.
And I was just going to say as well, it is, you do signpost it. It would be signposted where the parents go. Reception, there is a sign there to say, I think, isn't there, Mr. Bedford?
There is currently, because we've had so many changes because of COVID. After that, if a gate is open onto the premises, any parent can use it in normal times. So the front gate is not open, would not be open. But all the other Watling View Gate and Ferncroft gates are the two entrances and exits from the school in normal time.
Thank you.
And if we need to keep, please God we don't, but if we need to keep COVID restrictions going, I will write to explain about that for the start of September. We have Vanessa Keane. Vanessa, I'd like to ask the question.
Hello, thank you for that presentation. I know you say no silly questions, but I have food on my mind. My little girl's going to nursery in September, and you mentioned they will have a snack during the day. Is this something that we provide as parents, or something that the school provides?
So should I answer that question? Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, so the school provides a fruit every day. But we do collect voluntary collection of, I believe it's £4.50, isn't it, Mrs. Flint? I think it's £4.50 per term, per half term. Is that the right amount, Mrs. Flint?
Hello, yes, it is. Yep.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Flint. So it's £4.50 per term, per half term, and we just get some crackers and butter and cheese for them, just to have some variety of snack. Yeah,
that's great. Thank you.
Could I just say as well that some parents may be wondering about reception and lunchtime. So again, we have the same snack system as nursery, as Mrs. Zolikov has just mentioned, and reception, the children stay for lunch. And I always do sit with the children and make sure that they are happy and settled, and monitor how much your children eat, and look after them. So if any parents are feeling a little bit concerned that their child may be going to a different hall and have different adults, I always make sure that I'm with them at least in those first few weeks, and really provide lots of support on learning how to go to lunch whilst in reception. So.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from Rebecca Connolly.
Hi, good evening.
Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you loud.
Hi. Okay. With regards to reading mornings, they've been such a success in previous years. I was wondering if those would continue if everything went back to normal in September.
Yes, of course. We're incredibly. I mean, our whole philosophy to teaching and learning is we do more of what works and less of what doesn't. And sometimes we trial things out. If they work, we do more of them. If they don't work, we do less of them or stop them completely. Reading mornings were incredible success. The only reason we haven't done them is because of COVID restrictions and our inability to have large number of guests on site. The sooner we can return to normal, the better. And everything that has worked and been a success, we fully intend to reintroduce.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. It was a real joy. Really enjoyed that.
There's a question come in on the chat rather than with a hand up. So that will Lunch Club be back for nursery? One of the difficulties of running Lunch Club is the fact that we need qualified practitioners to stay and do it. If the numbers are there and it makes sense and the ratios are right, we can try and do it. It's paid for because it needs to be self-funding. We can't just offer it because we do 15 hours nursery provision, which means nursery finishes at 12. We have in the past been able, through the goodwill of somebody who's willing to stay on, been able to offer Lunch Club for nursery. We're open to that idea. The numbers need to be there, and it is a paid for service, and we're very restricted on adult pupil ratios. We need somebody who's got paediatric first aid. It's not as straightforward as just putting it on. If the demand is there, we will do our best to facilitate it, but it's not guaranteed. And we have a question from Sophie Polcott.
Oh yeah, hi. I was just asking because we received an email about the staggered entry arrangements, and on it said, please note schools always close for children at 1:30 on a Friday. So is that just throughout the year, or was that just at the beginning?
So we always, for a vast number of years, it was a system. It was introduced before I was before I even joined the school as deputy. So I've been at the school 7 years, and it was introduced far before that. All the school closes at 1:30 on a Friday.
Oh, okay. And then also, can I ask, is there a breakfast and after school club, or is it not on at the moment because of COVID?
It's not on at the moment because of COVID. We have an outside provider. So we have a company called Kids Club, or Club Kids. I never know which way round it is. I do know it's spelled with a funky Z rather than an S, but they take care of our preschool and after school provision. And that is a facility that you can book direct with them. It's in the school grounds, and that starts at 7:30 in the morning, and the children go straight from the breakfast club to their classes for registration. And after school, they go straight from their classes to the kids club, and that goes on till either 6 or 6:15. I can't quite remember. We are not operating at the moment because the only way it can operate is to mix all the classes, and we have a strict bubble system, and our strict bubble system has worked brilliantly because we haven't had a case in school during this whole pandemic. So at the moment, there is no after school or preschool provision, and that's been part of our success in keeping everybody safe. But we fully intend to reintroduce it as the restrictions are lifted. So please God, from September we'll reintroduce that.
Okay, thank you.
That's a pleasure. I missed it. Something came up on the chat and I lost it. It wasn't there for very long. My daughter is due to start nursery in September, isn't yet toilet trained. Planning to do so over the summer. Do we send them in with a bag and spare clothes in case of accidents? I'll answer this briefly, and then I'll let Mrs. Palmer or Mrs. Solokova. I mean, we have a minimum expectation that a child is toilet trained, but accidents happen, and we are used to dealing with accidents. And accidents happen beyond nursery, beyond reception. you know, I don't think there's many teachers that haven't had to deal with issues around toileting or a child being sick. But our expectation is that the children are out of nappies. Is that correct, Mrs. Palmer, Mrs. Solokova?
Yeah.
And we do also have spare clothes in class.
Yeah, and actually, even I mean, they all need spare clothes in nursery. Even if they're fully toilet trained, they need spare clothes in case
even toilet trained children have accidents, and we're used to dealing with that. Yeah. But our expectation is that a child is out of nappies and has, on most occasions, the ability to go to the toilet without an accident.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Gosh, good. Okay, so one more's just come in. Not sure if it was mentioned at the start, but what is the class size? Okay, so the class size for reception, we have a published admissions number of 30, and we have 27 children due. It's one of the first years in a long time that we haven't filled all our reception places. That is not a St Adrian's issue. That is an issue across St Albans. I don't know whether it's a low birth year, but a number of colleagues at different heads that I speak to, lots of the schools are a few places short this year, so 27 out of 30 in reception. Our nursery numbers are a little bit lower than our normal. We normally have about 21 children in there, and I think going into next year we've got 15 or 16. So our nursery numbers and our reception are a little lower than usual. But that hasn't changed the number of staff in those classes. Okay, any other questions? Okay, moving on then. I just want to say, first of all, thank you, Mrs. Palmer, for your presentation. But I'm a head teacher whose experience of teaching has mainly been focused in and around upper key stage 2, and I'm constantly just in awe of what early years teachers do. I always knew how important it was, but since I became a deputy 7 years ago and a head 3 years ago, reception and nursery is a place I often go to cheer myself up. When it all feels a bit too much, it's a great place to go to see inspirational teaching, wonderful children. And that's not just me trying to say how sweet it all is down there. EYFS which is early years foundation stage, is the fundamental base of everything that goes on in St Adrian's. It is the building block. It is the foundation of our success at Key Stage 2. Our results back in 2019, which are the last published results, put us in the top 7% of schools in the country. It's a fantastic recognition of everything that has went on at St Adrian's, but it builds from early years. Pupils who aren't able to develop communication and language in those early years up to reception tend not to prosper, and that's a national statistic. It's not every child, but they tend not to prosper as they go through the rest of their education. It is fundamental to a child's development that early years is a success, and I am immensely proud of the work that goes on down there. Mrs. Solokova and Mrs. Palmer are fantastic practitioners, supported by a great team. I'm immensely proud of what goes on. You also had the pleasure this evening of speaking with Mr. King, who hides his light under a bushel. He is in a fantastic Senko, and I guarantee that any child who is not developing as we would hope will be picked up by the class teachers, and Mr. King will ensure that all support possible is put in place to ensure that your children have the very best start at St Adrian's. And I'm confident that that will always be the case, and I'm confident that we will continue to show success right the way through all phases of primary, nursery and primary school. And it's a pleasure and a privilege that you have chosen us, and we are immensely proud that you have chosen us for your children. On that note, Is there one more slide, Mrs. Palmer?
That's the end. But
That is the end.
Is there time to briefly just show parents they're on the website?
There is,
Yep.
there is, and then I would really like to introduce Mrs. Martha Moroney, who I didn't introduce at the start because I hadn't seen her sneak into the invitation without me letting her into the chat room. But it's a real privilege. We have our Chair of Governors here this evening, and after Nicola has shown you our website, I would like to hand over to Mrs. Moroney, Chair of Governors, to say a few words. Do you want to get the screen up and I'll let Martha talk?
Well, I do have it, but for some reason I can't seem to do it. I'm so sorry.
You need to stop sharing this one and then start sharing the other one.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, we'll let Martha talk and then I'll try and share it.
Thank you.
Mrs. Moroney, would you like to speak?
Okay, I'll just say a few words. Just to say welcome from the governors to the school and to the community. When your child joins St Adrian's, it's not just your child that joins, it's you that join, because your family becomes part of the community of St Adrian's. So on behalf of the governors, thank you very much and welcome. For those of you who don't really know what governors do, there's a brief purpose of governors. Well, just a refresher for you then. Governors are here to ensure the clarity of vision and strategy for the school and to hold the head teacher to account for the educational performance of the school and its pupils. So we don't get involved in delivering the education, we hold the head teacher to account for doing that. And then the other bit that won't be a surprise to anyone is that governors are responsible for ensuring the financial performance of the school and making sure that the money is well spent. So there's always that other side of it. And I hate to say this, I really do, but one of the special features of being a Catholic school is that for any projects that we do, we don't get fully funded. So community schools, if they do an extension or something like that, they get fully funded. Being a Catholic school, we have the special privilege of only getting ever funded up to 90%. And as a school community, we have to find the other 10%. So we are always grateful if parents are able to offer some financial contribution to the school. Now, not everybody is. And we know, especially this last year has been difficult for some, for many. And so we do understand that. But if anyone is in the position to be able to support the school, then we would welcome it. However small, we would welcome it. Now, I hate saying that, welcome, where's your money? And I don't mean it like that. But if it's just in the back of your minds, if it's ever possible, then we'd always be grateful. And regardless of that, you are very welcome to the school. And I can't wait to meet you all in person when we're all allowed back into the school proper.
Thank you very much, Martha. Thank you. So I'm not able to share that screen either at the moment, Nicola. So I think we might ask Mrs. Flint just to send an email link out to all our new parents with a link to our website. But if you don't get the link, it's very easy to find. If you Google St Adrian's, St Albans, there aren't any other St Adrian's, I don't think, in the country. I think we're unique in that handle.
Thank you, Mr. Bedford. So parents, if you do look at the website, under parent information, there's a section there called New Entrants, and also under pupil pages, you'll be able to see learning activities that both nursery and reception have been participating in over the you can go quite a way back actually. There's quite a lot of photos and information about what we've done in the past if you'd like to get a taste of or a feel for what your child's experience in nursery or reception will be like. So thank you.
Okay, well, with the wonders of modern technology, while we were all talking on Teams, Mrs. Flint has just WhatsApped me to say that she sent the links out and she'll resend them again. to our website. So that's modern technology working perfectly. There are a couple of other things I just want to share with you. Please, Mrs. Flint has sent out a Google questionnaire. It's really important that you fill that in. I know it feels like lots of form filling, but that's where you can put all your dietary and medical needs, etc., that your child may have, so that we're fully aware and can adjust accordingly. And we are more than used to coping with all of that kind of thing, if we know. So you must let us know using that form. And also, please fill in the nursery funding declaration. It's really important for us to know whether the child is receiving the full 15 hours that we're offering and such, so that we can get the funding right. There is a hand up, Vanessa Keane.
Sorry, I know this is just a bit of a random question, but
no random,
obviously in the letters it tells you when your child is starting. Is my assumption that between now and then, my daughter just comes to school on the 6th of September? There isn't anything else in between that, other than obviously because the visits to the nursery obviously is not going ahead. So between now and then, it's just that's the final date that my daughter just turns up.
Yeah, it's one of the tragedies of the current system of lockdown. You know, I sit and watch 25,000 people turn up at Wembley to watch football, but we're finding it difficult to have parents and children in for visits. And it, you know, I've led a school through a pandemic. I've given up trying to work out the whys and wherefores. I just know the regulations, and we're not able to offer that at the moment. It's deeply, it's sad. It's sad, and so much of what goes on at the moment is sad. Our year sixes haven't been to the Isle of Wight where they normally would do. They're not going to have their leavers buffet and mass that they normally would have, and their own final play production. All singing, all dancing is going to be filmed instead of have their parents in to see it. There's many things that we're disappointed about, and I think COVID's robbed us all of something. For some families in a tragic way, for others in a lighter way. It's something that we regret that we can't offer you, but we just can't offer you at the moment. And we had, can I see another hand up? Sophie Polcott.
Hi, sorry, can I just ask, so I tried on that school gateway, and is that where you purchased the bag?
Mrs. Flint will explain that if she's on. The school gateway is where you can pay for lots of things. It might be, well, I'll let Mrs. Flint say.
Hello, yes, I can hear you. I've lost my camera. Yes, the school gateway, you can purchase the caps and bags and the gym bags. There is some people are having a bit of difficulty logging into it. If you have any trouble and it won't give you the PIN, it's probably because the email and phone number that I've got for you isn't matching. So just let me know, send me an email. If it's not linking, tell me the email and phone number that you're using, and I'll make sure that that links to your child. It should link. I should be able to set it up for all pre-admission children now, so we should be able to get you into Gateway, and then once you've paid, I'll send the cap and bag to your child on the first day of term.
So I've logged in, but I don't know, and I've managed to log in, but I don't know where to find that, like the hat and everything and the bag. I don't know what section that's in.
All right, I will double check when I log in the morning and make sure that all the new parents are showing on there. It should come up as a page, an option for you to buy those items. I'll try and double check that for you tomorrow.
Thank you.
I've got a chat come in that says there's a WhatsApp group for new nursery parents. That's the only way I can say is that the school does not mind you having WhatsApp groups, but it's not something that we are in any way organising. So somebody has set up a nursery WhatsApp group that's amongst parents to sort out for themselves. It's not something that the school and we don't administrate it. So if you set up friendship groups on WhatsApp, that's down to you as parents. It's not something that the school organises. with regard to things like caps, one of the way with hot weather during COVID, and we, not being able to have parents down to the office and all that sort of thing, that if it's a hot day and your child needs a cap, we'll give your child a cap, don't worry, and you can pay us afterwards. So with things like, we prefer it if you can buy everything through the proper systems and the channels. But if it's a hot day and your child needs a hat, we'll give them a hat and you can pay us afterwards, don't worry. I think we are there. Okay, so final thing before we wrap up. I'm afraid I don't know how many of you were part of the school either through older children or not, but back in early June, late May, early June, actually I've got that date wrong, it was late April, early May, Mrs. Moroney wrote to existing parents, and so new parents would not have seen this letter, but I am stepping down as head from December, so a new head will be appointed, we hope, in time for January. But I felt that I should tell you today, in case you hadn't read the letter or heard the news, and that you shouldn't really hear it from anybody else, you should hear it from the school. I am stepping down as the head teacher of St Adrian's in December, and I want to reassure you that the handover will be complete and as strong as it can be, and that between now and then my full focus is on the school that I love and I have a passion about. I'm stepping away for other reasons, but this ship of St Adrian's has been sailing for over 60 years, and another captain will just as easily continue the great performance of this school. It's in a very strong position, and it has very strong staff and very strong governors, and I firmly believe that it will be in a great shape in December for the new incumbent. So I just wanted to share that with you. I saw a few beeps as I was speaking, things coming in. Let's just check I haven't missed any other questions. Okay, so unless anybody has another question come in now, that's going to be a wrap. So thank you very much for coming. As I said earlier, thank you for choosing St Adrian's, and we look forward to welcoming all our new families in September. Without COVID restrictions, please God.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, parents. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for coming. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.